Hello, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, and good evening, and good afternoon. Good wherever you are, the timing is. Uh, Thank you, everybody, joining us this morning. The Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra's regular Sunday morning meditation, which is very, very important. Meditation should be all the time, not just Sunday morning. but there are other meditation I'm sure people are doing. Anyway, so and then followed by a short talk. So I would like to welcome you all. Thank you for giving your company, and join your hands at the heart, and we offer our prayers to renew our refuge and our sense of sanity, that when we turn to the Dharma, we always know there's always a much more kinder and wiser way than we often think is the choice. So just reminding us to do that by formalizing saying the refuge prayer is a very important one. And also to be inclusive of all the people in different parts of the world and facing so many difficulties, natural disasters, and calamities, and pandemic, and most importantly, their own self-made tragedies of greed, hate, and ignorance. So think of them only if they have access to Dharma will they not change their course of action, as we have learned to do that very slowly but truly. And for that purpose, we do these prayers before we do the meditation. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Aitere Yeda Ladama Vavechu Ajeve Handala Ashare Vada Vatuve and Abu Dhamma Sangha Aitere Yeda Ladama Vavechu Ajeve Handala Ashare Vada Vatuve and Abu Dhamma Sangha Aitere Yeda Ladama Vavechu Ajeve Handala Ashare Vada Vatuve. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a power from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion of those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know our power from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion of those near and far. May all beings have happiness, and the cause of happiness, may they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering, may they never part from the happiness and no suffering, may they dwell equanimity, free from judgment and aversion to those near. 安法。 May So we will do the meditation here in 3 slots of 10 minutes. Whatever technique we may use, most importantly observe the 4S, the stillness of your posture and attention, and sincerity of your intention, and effort, and the serenity of your attention and your understanding why you're doing the meditation. And most importantly, this simplicity. Be very simple. You're simply sitting still. You're not having to prove anything to anybody. You're just sitting still and try to, when the water is not stirred, it becomes very clear. When it's stirred, it becomes very muddy. So let the water stay still. So in this way, we try to observe the posture, try to have the mind fully in charge of the posture and keep the meditative posture in the way the Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree. For this first 10 minutes, we just observe the mindfulness of observing the postures, external stillness, and attention with which holds the guarding and scanning of the posture is happening, and your mind is not drifting away or sinking within or distracted by things or becoming bored or dull, but instead very serene, attention sharp, focus to sit still and observe the whole posture from the feet all the way to the crown in a way that you are completely with the posture, calmly abiding. And make sure that you are watching, that the mind doesn't drift away or become idle or bored, which is easy to do. You don't need any instructions for that. But here we wanted to remain very still, just watching your mind, whether it can sit with you in this posture. And so I'll leave you to it. You can take some short, sharp mini breaks throughout the time. Otherwise, just learn to hold this vigil with everyone doing together. Still observing the 4S. This time we will specifically focus on the rounds of breath, that your incoming breath, you consciously, knowingly do see the oxygen, feel the positivities, and then inhale mindfully. And likewise, as you permeate the oxygen in your lung, do the permeation, see, feel, and know how you are rejuvenated by this phase of the oxygenation. And likewise, as you exhale, consciously breathe out, knowingly, seeing the carbon leaving your body and mind, spirit, and relieving you of all stress and problems. And that's you exhale with a good sigh of relief. So you count forward at the end of each exhalation, count at 1, and then meticulously stay very still, sincere, serene, and simple. Just do these very rounds of breath carefully and count mentally to increase your endurance and stability without letting the mind drift away or go dull or become bored, occasionally checking the posture, and therefore deepening your stability and clarity of your attention. while maintaining your composure in sitting correctly and breathing. This time we will use this super qualified attention, sharper, higher resolution, and do the each round of breath, but you do reverse counting. So if you reach, say, 60 or 50 or whatever number you reach in the forward counting, you do the reverse counting. At the end of each exhalation, you count that as 50, and the next one 49. And not only you're counting, but try to make sure the resolution of each round of breath has a higher quality of attention and feeling and knowing and being fully present. So much so that your clarity is so sharp that the mind is not drifting anything. Your counting is clear. Your contents of the what you're seeing and knowing and doing in fully clear perspective. So therefore try to increase the insightfulness of doing this super qualified round breathing, knowing back in the mind all feelings are impermanent. It's not self or not real. They are, but they are temporary. So therefore there's no point to be drowned in pleasant feelings or sad feelings. All are illusory, and therefore see all feelings as impermanent. That's the mindfulness, the foundation mindfulness of feeling. It's best outcome from doing this reverse counting of super qualified arm breathing. So that's our meditation. How did you go? Did you fall asleep? But you woke up, that's the main thing. Usually people don't wake up from sleep. Oh, thank you for joining me this morning. Now, before I give a talk, I would like to give a short present to this young practitioner who's completed quite a long retreat here, very surprisingly, 8 months or so, her own retreat at Abhirupa. So I want to give this to Kat for her very amazing diligence for doing such a long retreat. Yes, she just very, very unassumingly did quietly the retreat with no doubt her devotion to the Buddha is one that kept her going. So this is small prayers. That's for you. And this is a book for you. And well done.
Do I wear this?
Thank you for
much.
doing retreat at our retreat center with such diligence.
Thank you. I've got this. This was the most meaningful 5 months of my adult life, and I have something very small in exchange. But thank you so much, Lama.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. So if you think carefully, the lockdown has been very productive. Lockdown is just another Buddhist term for retreat, you know. And so just like Kat, we have few other students doing retreat in their own places. One in several in Virupa Retreat Center, one in Siba, and someone else down in South Australia in Adelaide. So our Sangha members are taking advantage of the opportunity to do short retreats, which I'm very inspired to be of a part of, knowing that they take little effort and then do this retreat. You know, even Buddha's teaching and enlightenment came from his retreat, you know. It didn't come from, Buddha didn't descend from heaven with all the knowledge. No, he persevered day in, day out for many years under the tree. So it's the very best way to honor the Buddha is our practice, our sincerity. Thank you. And so, talking about retreats, I'm just about to head down to Siba on Thursday to do the long Easter retreat at Medicine Buddha. And so, I'm sure you all are aware of it. You can do retreat from home, join us on Zoom. If you don't have to travel very far. But if you have time, you better do that, because Easter is one of the second longest holiday in Australia. And holiday for what? Do some holy things. So thank you. So now we're focused on this morning's talk. Everyone, topic is Buddhism without blind faith. So it really assumes that there is a lot of blind faith, and it is not just with it is not just Buddhism without blind faith. There's a lot of blind faith in everything, and Buddhism is supposed to remove those blindness, but still people come to Buddhism, they become even more blinded by their fanaticism or their fixated views. So I'm giving these talks like Buddhism without sectarianism, which we did last week, and we're going to do Buddhism without quite a lot of topics in order to crystallize what really distinctively Buddha Dharma is. Particularly in the 21st century, it's really when we are enjoying the really good rewards of scientific exploration, as well as some of the fearful outcome of scientific results. You can see the amazing fear of nuclear war that we are experiencing also a result of science. And also using rational mind to scrutinize everything before you actually accept them is a very important hallmark of Buddha's teachings. So today I'm going to look at two very famous quotes from Buddhist sutras. Buddhist sutra means teachings of the Buddha himself, which strongly advocates the importance of examination and investigation and check into even in the Dharma the Buddha taught. Dharma is the main refuge. We shouldn't be having lots of doubt about its truthfulness and its validity. But even then, Buddha recommends that you have to investigate and check that Dharma carefully, seeing that Dharma needs to be realized. And only the realization of Dharma, that is which going to make the validation of the faith. Realization is the great transformation that we ourselves can make by walking the talk of the Dharma. Even belief in the Buddha is fairly secondary, because if say even you have faith in the Buddha, some people say I believe in the Buddha. We really don't. If we sit down and talk, what do you mean? They know what he said is good or something. They don't doubt what he said. But what does it mean? When you believe in Buddha, he will make sure that you don't suffer. He'll make sure that you go to heaven. What does it mean? But quite a lot of people's approach to even Buddha, the Dharma, Sangha, even as they learn Buddhism, is still very Abrahamic. They still feel that there's external savior who will do this for us, who will not let us down as long as we follow them. That kind of over-dependency was never recommended by Buddha. For instance, in one of the sutras, it says, he says, one alone is one's own master. No one can become one. So it doesn't mean that you can't have a teacher, or you can't have a mentor, or you can't have Sangha, you can't have Buddha, or you can have all of that. But in the end, you have to be your own master. Rongden talks about the enlightened teacher, human teacher, and wisdom teacher, for instance. So if we don't have wisdom teacher, even having human teacher hasn't served the purpose. Human teacher hasn't given us the wisdom. Until we have the wisdom teacher that we ourselves rely on, then we will be always looking as if we're going to be saved or helped by the human teacher. Human teacher can only teach, but they will never do the work for you, because if that was the case, then of course everybody would park their car in the teacher's garage. Ask them to fix. Teacher doesn't own a garage. So therefore, teacher does not. Therefore, having faith in your teacher as who will save you, who's perfect, who doesn't have karma, who doesn't have affliction, who's full enlightenment, is a blind faith. The Buddha is such a rarity that even if we, out of pure vision, we want to honor our teachers at the highest level, that's really good for our own sake to respect and love someone like that. But to see them as a perfect and someone who's completely faulty, free of fault of karma and affliction, is just ludicrous. There is no one. The more you examine the teacher, the more you know they are humans. Because they're human teachers. They're not enlightened teachers. They're all human teachers. They're born from the mother and father's fluid, and they have birth certificate. You look at their story, they're full of sufferings, full of tragedies, full of heartaches. They're all humans. They just may be put on a robe. They may be put on a throne. They may be elevated as a status by the tradition, but they still are humans. They are humans. The more you get to know them, more they are humans. Unless they have reached the first bhumi, during which then they are able to abandon 160 gross afflictions. I'm not saying there aren't teachers who hasn't reached first bhumi, by the way, But even there are teachers who have reached the first bhumi, but they still cannot save you. They still cannot save you. They still cannot do the work for you. They cannot fix your car. They cannot fix your problem. You still have to go and fix yourself. So to idolize that your teacher has to be perfect, and if he has any faults, then he's not the right teacher. This is the result of blind faith. This is the result of blind faith in teachers. Why did Buddha himself said, Tubnam Dikpa Chui Mitu Shing, means the sages do not wash their sins with water. This refers to, the sages refers to the Buddhists. People who follow the ways of Buddha do not believe in washing their karma in water like Ganges, like the contemporary Indians during those days as well as today. Even they believe that if they dip in Ganges, it will wash their sins. I mean, it's a blind faith, by the way. I don't think that water can wash anybody's even clothes, let alone sins. It might make you feel a little bit cool because it's so hot, but that's about it. But otherwise, if you look at the water, it is not drinkable, not even drinkable. How could water wash sins? These kind of blind faith, when they make the water holy or objects holy, and then they think have a faith healing by touching the object or drinking the water. The Buddha deliberately said that the sage, followers of the sage, do not believe in washing their sins by holy water. So this means even you drink a little bit of holy water during empowerment, it's just symbolic, okay? Otherwise, it is that town tap water with a few pills and a saffron, and that's all there is. And it is not going to wash any of your severe sins, even the minor ones. That's just symbolic. It's just a symbolic of watering. Sprinkling water has been the pan-religious symbolism of some, I would say, baptizing or christening or in empowerment. When we sprinkle the water, then they say it's just a symbolic. But it does not wash anybody's sins. It doesn't even wash your clothes. It makes your clothes go yellow because it's a saffron water leaves a yellow mark. You try that go and wear a nice silk shirt and go to the empowerment and have some of the holy water fall on your shirt to see it wash your sins or dirty your shirt. Probably he dirty your shirt is the real case. So, see, the Dharma isn't that kind of external thing that you try to see that will wash your sins. Nor can he physically remove your sufferings with his holy hands. So, even touching the holy, some people like kiss the Pope's hand and they think that we're fortunate or whatever. Of course, it's amazing. We have the same, when our group people, we go and visit His Holiness Dalai Lama, he touch your hands, people feel really happy. It's really good. Of course, there's some kind of course there's His Holiness got a lot of wholesome qualities. Getting near him and being in the same room inspires you, makes you happy, and all of that. But maybe that's because your own faith. Your faith is not blind. It can heal. It can heal. But His Holiness actually says, why do people want to touch my aggregate of suffering? He says, my aggregate is suffering. Look at this. He says, look at my flapping, skin below the. He says, why do people want to touch my deluded aggregate of suffering to another aggregate of suffering and then think they will be healed? Because it never happens. But yet people are religiously believe if they come close to someone or touch, that they will actually heal their suffering. And then you can, all this faith healing and Christian things, all these healings, people go on the stage, hallelujah, go to some people with some limping problem goes there and he does this and others collapse. Are they faking? Are they really happening, These kind of blind faith, some things can happen. Some things can happen due to cause and condition. I'm not saying not, but it does not wash your sins or remove your suffering. It does make you feel a little bit better. Placebo effect, perhaps. Perhaps. So that's why the Buddha said, Buddha does not physically remove your suffering, cannot receive. It's not that he does not remove, but he cannot remove. Of course, he can visit you, he can give you blessings, and also, even hospital visitation by friends and relatives gives a lot of comfort. We're not saying there's no comfort in showing your empathy and kindness, and whether religious or spiritual, emotional, whatever you do, human beings temporarily feel. But their symptoms of illness still there. It just have temporarily reduced because of the kindness people showed, and it lifts the spirit, and therefore it has a feeling of the pain disappear for a while. Maybe it can happen. We're not saying that's not possible, but that's still not Buddhism. That's just Buddha therefore said he cannot remove your suffering with his holy hands. Nor can he transfer his realization. Just like the NRMA can recharge your car, flat battery, But the batteries from one car or the other didn't go, You have to have this very, what do you call that cord? You have to jump lead, yeah. This Paul helping me the term. You need the jump lead. If you have no jump lead, even you have 2 Mercedes cars, 3 Mercedes cars, still they cannot be charged, okay? So you have to have faith in the jump lead, okay? The practical. You have to be practical. So even if you have the jump lead, the other car doesn't stop, still no problem, nothing happened. So even you have the flat car, you have the jump lead, but no other car, what can you do? See, jump lead cannot start your car. Why? Don't have blind faith in jump lead. Everything is interdependent origination. If you have another car, another driver who is willing to stop, if you dare to stop it on the highway, the other day it happened to us, Our car broke down, and it's amazing. It's such an interesting thing to watch. And even you got the jump lead and the flat battery flat, but if someone doesn't stop, still doesn't happen. See? So that shows interdependent origination. One moment we thought the jump lead was the thing you should have faith in. You have the jump lead, but still, even you have 3 jump leads, still doesn't do anything. Even you have 10 jump leads, still do nothing. But you need another car. See? That shows you can only liberate it by seeing the nature of the reality. That's the law of interdependent origination. Yeah? So therefore, having faith in the Buddha is a good thing to have. It's recommended to have. But Buddha himself did not recommend to rely on that alone. And he said, you need to practice. I simply teach, and you need to make yourself see that yourself. If you don't practice, if you don't do the looking and do the finding yourself, even you have a lot of jump lead, and you have many car coming by, your jump battery's flat, still you do not know how to start the flat battery, then of course you don't know that you need someone to stop another car. See? So you need to do that. Some people never know this. I know some people moved in Australian nice units, come from overseas. They never used any of the appliances. They have oven, they have washing machine, and they never used them. And they're still cooking everything on the cooktop. And then nobody showed them, nobody taught them how to use them. But somebody showed them how to use them, they can do lots of things, isn't it? See, Buddha is simply the shower of how things work, and we need to operate yourself. Yeah. We will only be liberated if we ourselves got to know what entails to do. Another point from another sutra, it says, Gelon take kenam ki, either the ordained monks or the wise, sikchit derivation, like a goldsmith would cut and rub and melt the gold to test its quality, whether it's pure gold or not. Like that, you too should carefully examine my teachings and only accept if they prove to be valid, but not out of respect for me. He said, do not accept this out of faith to me, but you yourself have to check and utilize and then prove to be useful. So this shows that Buddhism is about way of self-realization. Until we realize through our self-discipline and our meditation and our wisdom and our lack of ill will, being able to restrain your negativities and being able to watch your own ways of doing, once we get to comprehend and realize the changes we need to adopt, then we become liberated. Then we become we don't become liberated by some other people. We feel grateful to the Sangha. We feel grateful to the lineage. We feel grateful to the Buddha. So our gratitude towards them shouldn't be a blind faith in terms of saying they will rescue me. For example, you believe the sun will dry your wet cloth, and yes, that's a good. That's probably you have dried your clothes in the past in the sun, but you can't expect the sun to dry your clothes when it's still in the washing machine. You got to take it out, put it on the line on a sunny day. You can't put it on the line when a wet day, thinking sun will dry. No. So even sun cannot dry sometimes because the sun is covered by cloud, and it's a very wet day. It will not. So do you mean you should lose the faith in the sun's ability to dry your clothes? No, it's not because the sun doesn't dry clothes. It's just the causes, the condition to dry your clothes wasn't present because it's cloudy and wet, and you have hardly squeezed your wet clothes. So this shows that we need to do more action from our own side, and therefore Buddhism is about awakening and relying on not the enlightened teacher, not the human teacher, but mainly on the wisdom teacher. Wisdom teacher. And where does the wisdom come from? Your own meditation and your own discipline, your own self-restraint. These things gives you the realization of wisdom. The human teacher will tell you to do that. Enlightened teacher has to say it in the sutras to do that. Human teachers are simply paraphrasing what the Buddha enlightened teacher wrote and said. But even though you have heard and read and listened to them many times, still it doesn't mean it will happen until we ourselves practice the meditation, discipline, and solitude, and gratitude, and simplicity, and devotion, dedication, and perseverance. If you practice those, then you yourself will realize. You will truly realize. Otherwise, what happens in people who follow Buddhism? They follow their brand of Buddhism. They become really attached to their Buddhism. They think that others are not Buddhism because they don't do the same way. That completely shows how narrow-mindedly our teachers have taught. Some of our teachers, I might be one of them, we teach the people how to be narrow-minded. never to look outside the box. Always, So I could be guilty of being the narrow-minded teacher, promoting you to just listen to our lineage, our school, our tradition. All the others are wrong. If I've been saying that, you have reason to not have faith in me. because because I said the very thing what is contrary to the teachings of the Buddha. So you got to. That's what Buddha said. You got to examine, like the person buying the gold will check. You know, you need to check whether that is what Buddha's teachings of the Buddha correspond with that or not. But those people who are quite a lot of Buddhists, I must say, are very much in this us protectionism. They want to protect their tradition in fear of losing. And then they say, oh, you shouldn't go to other lineages. Oh, that will confuse you. Of course, they will confuse you. They may not teach Buddhism, that's right. If they teach true Buddhism, it will not confuse you, it will clarify you. The names and the traditions, the language, ethnicities, history, these things are not Buddhism. These things are Buddhist kind of culture in which it has been preserved. So therefore there's not even great emphasis to have faith in the first place. First you have to examine. But if you have to check the gold whether it's true or not, without taking it as just because it's yellow metal, because it's yellow in the metal doesn't mean it's gold. There are many other yellow metal these days. You can paint all kinds of colors so therefore, just look, because it's yellow and metal doesn't mean it's gold. And like that, we have to examine the teachings, and not just as we are so well informed, we have capacity to examine the teaching. We have to see whether it helps you or not, whether it helps you to change your way of thinking, to make you feel a little bit kinder and wiser, more respectful, or more thoughtful of others, more respectful of other traditions and other schools. And there's a lot we don't know, the other Buddhist traditions, and their ways are just as teachings of the Buddha. They just have a different method or culture or tradition or language, ethnicity they do. Otherwise, even the perfect Buddha, even by having faith in the Buddha, say 4 of us all have faith in the Buddha, but we have faith in the Buddha. It's just a passive faith or active faith. So what does it mean we have faith in the Buddha? There's a lot of cultural Buddhists who say they believe in the Buddha, but they think that if they pray to the Buddha, he will reserve your place in Sukhavati in the front row or something like that. That's no different than a Christian, haven't taken even one step towards Buddhism. So to have such kind of external savior to save us is not Buddhism. So even the Buddha we got relative Buddha and ultimate Buddha. Ultimate Buddha is ourself becoming completely free of any karma and affliction, and embodiment of all the qualities of wisdom. Until we see ourselves equipping with that, there is no Buddha in which you have truly realized refuge. True realization of refuge in the Buddha is if the Buddha just gives blessings to everyone who has faith in him, then everyone should be receiving that equally, and every morning we should receive the blessings equally, because we have faith in the Buddha. No, Buddha never said that. He said you yourself have to gain wisdom to become yourself awakened. So that self-awakening would mean that our dependence on the gurus or yidams or all these things, or divination or astrology, these are all going further and further away from Buddhism. More dependent we are. But if the guru and yidam practices enable us to discover our Buddha nature within, and therefore unfold us from the darkness, shroud of darkness, to unfold our goodness, makes us kinder, make us much more humble, make us much more self-righteous, less self-righteous than we used to be, then you could see the amazing joy and lack of negativities in your mind. So there are almost your negativities in your mind is decreasing, and enlightened qualities are slowly mushrooming in you. When you see these things, then you could see this is when you become your own master. You do not need or seek to rely on external master. External teacher only can teach you the theory and how to do and the history of it. But actual teaching cannot be taught other than through our own self-discipline, our meditation, our retreat, our solitude, our observing silence. In that space, then you will have great sense of awareness, how to free yourself from those karma and afflictive emotions that has a very tight grip on us. So you feel very liberated. You feel so free of ill will and wrong views and enmity and the craving and desire that you previously used to have. They have dramatically reduced. They're still there, unfortunately. They're still there, but you are able to give a control. You can able to control them. When you push the button control, it controls. Now you know a control button. Previously you never knew you had a control button. They're all over the place. So there's a bit of self-restraint happening, And you never are minding other people restraining or not. That's none of your business, So that's never judging other people, and that's really good. That means now you are registering some realization. You have no right to judge anybody because if you do, you are not practicing. If you are doing any judging, you should be your own judge. You should be your own witness. In the Lojong teaching that says, be the better of the two witnesses. The better of two witnesses is not the others, what they say good to you or bad to you. That's not the witness. You should be your own witness. You should be your own witness. You know exactly whether you're improving or whether you're righteous or whether you're humble or whether you have room to improve your humility. When you see these things, then it's no longer relying on the external Buddha or rely on the external Dharma or it's now external Sangha. Relative Buddha, relative Dharma, they never are objects of refuge. Objects of refuge are when you realize the Buddha, when you realize Dharma, and you yourself realize Sangha, at least Arhathood or higher. Then you have the taste or the benefit of not even registering any of the subtle afflictions into your mind stream, because you have overcome the foe destroyer. Arhat means you have destroyed the inner foe. Inner foe means you can see the decreasing of your afflictions or total extermination of your affliction. Then you have become the Arhats. So one who realized the sign of the not only reduction but total elimination of any gross affliction, and then you have now overcome your inner foe, karmic foe or afflictive foe. So you will see that you don't have the gross afflictions and karma in your mind that is occupying your center stage. If you bear witness to that, until you bear witness to that, you will be always looking for external guidance, external help, external objects to have faith. And so it's very difficult to practice Buddhism without blind faith until you have ability to reach some stage of your own until you realize the wisdom teacher. Rangrikpe Yishe in Tibetan. Rangrikpe Yishe means self-realizing wisdom. Wisdom that you no longer need to seek from outside, but through your own meditation, through your own understanding of emptiness and impermanence, of Four Noble Truth. When you understand all of that, there's amazing, then your gratitude towards your spiritual friends and the teachers and Sangha is not so much they will rescue you, but they have been party to your being on the path and little progress you have made. So your gratitude towards them makes you so humble. And it's not so, being humble in front of other Sanghas and your teacher is different from having blind faith that they will rescue you. So they will, if you have to sign a contract with the Lama or Sangha, they will never sign that to you. If you were expecting those things, they will rescue all the problems. They would have never signed the piece of paper, but you thought they did. You thought they were signatory to your assumption that they are the rescuer. They themselves are really deluded, They're only 10 years senior to you, maybe in the Dharma. Maybe they have donned on a robe. Maybe they sit in the monasteries. Maybe they are the Sangha. But that's only different. Otherwise, they have karma. Their life is full of suffering. If you listen to the story of one monk, one Lama, you wouldn't believe it. Your life hasn't gone even half of the suffering. Why they're wearing robes and practicing? Because they have been struggling in their life. And therefore, they are practitioner. Practitioner means those who are striving. They are struggling. And they are wearing the robe to protect themselves slightly so that the blessings of the Buddhas, refuge in the Buddha, will make them to become a little bit more mindful than others and try to make little progress than slipping down totally. So we have to be kind to them rather than idolize them, to be completely free of karma, affliction, and who has no fault. This is very, very perfectionist way of looking at Buddhism. That's what lots of people are getting disappointed with the certain Buddhist people and their story. They think that's Buddhism, because they have totally lumped Buddhism with people. They're having faith in the people who are deluded with karma as Buddhism. They never are Buddhism. They are just you and me. They're just one of the members practicing in the Dharma. They don't represent enlightenment. They are trying to walk towards the path, just as you might be. But they still have karma. They have affliction. Not just from this life. When we think it's this life karma only, no, they have many, many past life karmas. Many, many past life karmas on top of few things you and I can point finger to them. You think that's the only thing they have fault? Oh, they'd be really lucky. That's what those you and I only spotted their mistake. That's only the karma they have. Oh, they'll be enlightened in a few years' time. No, they have heaps of karma from many, many other incarnations. You have no idea. So be kind then, rather than idealistically putting great faith in them as being perfect, or they're beyond human. They're all human beings. They have karma. And what do we think they are? So therefore, people with so much blind faith, particularly to Lamaism, we can call Lamaism, and they really think, and also even somebody who's a monk, they think that he should be perfect. Even somebody who's not a monk, they think he should be like a monk. and so on and so forth. All this idealism is making the people put all this Abrahamic blind faith in God, and they're now imposing them onto Buddhism. And so that's why you can see the premature Buddhism. Buddhism is totally premature. Of course, it wouldn't mature so quickly. In Tibet, it took 300-400 years before it was firmly established. And maybe in the West, in the modern time, maybe things are learning quickly, people are more literate, maybe their knowledge can increase quickly. But no, it will take hundreds of years. Hundreds of years before this kind of prematurity, disappointment, and people are so impatient, and they're just treating the as Buddhism as if it was taught by Christianity. No. That's why people must distinguish what Buddhism does not idolize anyone. Buddhism admits everyone deluded. And full stop. If everybody's deluded, and then enlightenment is so rare, the Buddha is so rare, and you don't try to think that everybody who dons upon a robe of the Buddha is completely like enlightened like the Buddha. Oh, that will be good, If there was that kind of holy robe, I have never worn such a robe that made me so holy. It's actually, when you put on the robe, what they call? They have a robe rage. They can't even don on the damn thing very well. It's so difficult to wear it, let alone live accordingly. It takes a couple of months before the monastics, newly ordained monastic, are comfortably can put on the robes every morning because it's such a lot of fabric. And they're really poorly sewn in an easy way. And so, so people are having faith in robes. People are having faith in titles. Not just faith, but blind faith. And people have faith in status. These are not what Buddha taught. Buddha taught everything against caste system. He went against the caste system, but yet Buddhism, people who don't understand Buddhism create the caste system. Anyone whose robe is of course, treating them as a ordained Sangha, showing respect, that's a courtesy. That's a basic courtesy, human courtesy. But that doesn't mean that they will be able to save you. You have to have faith in them, that they don't have any karma. I mean, they will say, come on, I've been never taught how not to have karma when I put on the robe. I was put on this robe so that I understand karma better. Not how to not have any karma. So they understand their karmic responsibility more, probably, than becoming completely free of karma. But yet people expect to have blind faith in the monks to have no desire, no affliction, no bias, no fear, no anxiety, none of those afflictions. How could you do that? This kind of blind faith is causing the disappointment. The disappointment is caused by all blind faith, and therefore it's our duty of us teachers in the West to teach Buddhism so that people distinguishes the Dharma from people. Dharma is the one they should have refuge in, and not people, not their status, not in the robes, not in the kind of and the titles and status, this hierarchical system. And unfortunately, most underdeveloped countries, together with their religious tradition, lots of conservatism, lots of hierarchical system. They think hierarchy means that they are also holier. Of course, we wouldn't mind if they were holier. But they only have bigger responsibilities. Quite a lot of young tulkus we have seen in recent years, highly, give very high titles, and the boy have no life experience whatsoever. He haven't even finished primary school, middle school, high school. He was put on a throne, and he was told that he is such and such, and based on some shamanistic demons possessing some monks, and then they're talking in tongues, and they pick him as a candidate. And this kind of thing is not Buddhism. This is why the Tibetan Buddhism has a lot of cleansing to do, transformation to do, so that we do not transport these things in the 21st century. Maybe the reason why we are in exile we have a lot to do, so that we these kind of anti-Buddhist faiths, really, these are not really Buddhism. These are just shamanistic, feudalistic, cultural, autocratic tradition, theocratic tradition, staying in the tradition, only advocating that. We are not saying there are no bodhisattvas manifesting in the world, but I believe very much so that those bodhisattvas doesn't need status, doesn't need recognition. They will unfailingly perform their duties in whatever capacity, even at the factory floor or even at the kitchen floor, they will carry those duties unfailingly. Bodhisattvas have done that since time immemorial. Why it is only in Tibetan Buddhism that we are dependent on this kind of system of believing in highly reincarnated lamas and recognizing them, and all the time and resources goes in. This is exactly which is going against 21st century Buddhism. If Buddhism is to be understood rubbing shoulders with the top scientists in the world, there are quite a few of those things are definitely need to be not only examined, but put out these practices, because they definitely does not promote scrutiny. They only promote mysticism and blind faith and authoritarianism. And these things, they may look very good as we have keeping holy tradition or something, but quite a lot of the many young boys who put on, they say they don't know why they are. They can't remember anything about past life. They can hardly remember yesterday's lesson. They can hardly remember yesterday's lesson, and yet they think he is the he's the kind of inheritor of all the knowledge and wisdom of the past Lama. Even the past Lama wasn't so great. He was pretty deluded, He might have done quite a few great deeds, but he still had karma. But they think he's enlightened. Come on, we got too many enlightened. And then, but the thing is, the only deluded ones are deciding who is enlightened one. So when you are going that, Buddhism is definitely leaning, culture of Buddhism is definitely leaning on blind faith. It is not listening to the teachings whatsoever, and it is listening totally to the opposite of the teaching. So that's why Buddhism without blind faith will take a long time. But people need to start thinking that this cultural conservative faith and the beliefs in ethnic Buddhist beliefs has to be understood in the context how important that particular conservative Buddhist group is, because they only identify thinking they are that because as long as they are able to do that regularly. So it's cultural Buddhism. Sure, that might be important for that ethnic group to keep that. But what is the gist of the teaching that we mustn't lose it in that cultural conservatism is what really probably I would say people who are literate and educated and had looked at a number of religions and they have some reason to be attracted to Buddhism must not be lured into some of the cultural Buddhist beliefs, and they can respect them for the sake of culture performance and whatever. Some performance are very good. Once a year it's good. Once a year is okay, Once a year we can tolerate it. But if it becomes the center stage of Buddhism, that's what people are getting disappointed. And we also get totally sucked into it without having any of our ability to master our mind, how to get the grain separated from the husks. So we have to know that, and so when we're able to do that, then our devotion and gratitude towards our lamas and sanghas will be just as loyal as you can be to your best friend. But idealizing them to be beyond karma and affliction is blind faith. Wait until they complain all the list of their medical problems, You think they're free? You think they're so holy? Of course they are so holy. Their mind have many. They may reveal some kind of illness out there. We're not saying their value or what we honor them is lessened by that. But we still have to have actual human respect and loyalty and friendship, not destroyed by expecting idealistic and perfectionism. And then when you don't get it, and then you're disappointed, you throw the whole thing with it. And that's exactly what premature Buddhists are doing, because they are practicing Buddhism with blind faith. And they haven't heeded to these sutric teachings. And maybe some people like me been telling, oh, you should follow our school. You will confuse if you go to other tradition. Or I'm your guru, and from this life onwards, I'll look after you from this and future lives. We'll make sure that you don't go to hell. You'll get a. If some teachers saying that, of course, they are saying it's no different from Christians saying that we will save you. If you don't believe, you go to hell. So they haven't gone very far. It's just name Buddhism, but it haven't done any changes. So we need to awaken our mind in terms of how to study and learn and meditate the teachings, and then have respect But respect is different from refuge. You don't take refuge in human beings. Even sangha members are not refuge object. The person who has reached arhathood is, but still they don't. Even the arhat does not give refuge to you. Just like the jump lead we were talking about, unless you create causes and conditions yourself. So if you don't create causes and conditions, even arhat doesn't liberate you. I mean, not there are no arhats, not that there are no bodhisattvas. Why don't we have refuge? Because we haven't created causes and conditions from ourselves. And if we create the causes and conditions ourselves, we don't have to have our teacher who are arhats or bodhisattvas. Arhata bodhisattvas everywhere. They're always there. They are completely accessible, more accessible than our probably human teachers. I think so. They're always online. Did you know that? They're always online. The really enlightened ones, they're always online, and they never shut down at 5 p.m. Because they are bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas don't have 9 to 5 job. They have 12 hours completely around. So they're always online. So if you really have faith that is not blind, you will be able to bring not only the battery, flat battery, jump lead, and also the other car. You will start yourself very quickly. There is no shortage of the bodhisattvas and arhats online. So don't think, some people say, I didn't get to see such and such lamas who died in the 70s. I said, don't you ever worry. These beings those who are holy ones are always like a sun. You can put your clothes out now, it will dry. So you don't have to think about 2 years sun. The sun is still there. Sun is ever present. It's immutable. So the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are always there. They are not someone who's left and they are out of date. It's not like that. It is the human teachers who are used by date. Themselves physically. They don't have a physical body. They are mortal. They're still subject to old age and death themselves. And they're not refuge object. I tell you the truth. They are great source of inspiration, friendship, respect, but distinguish that from ultimate refuge. Ultimate refuge is your own realization of the wisdom taught by the Buddha, came through the lineage masters. When we can distinguish that, then you will have less disappointment because you are not putting all your eggs in one basket. Very good. Don't just buy lots of jump lead, okay? And then got disappointed with them and throw each of them one by one. So there's a lot of jump lead collectors out there. This, and then they don't actually know the mechanism of how to start a flat battery. They keep throwing all the jump leads. Then in the end, when someone meets, do you have a jump lead? Say, no. What did you do? I threw them away. Oh gosh. That's what's happening. Quite a lot of people deserting their sangha, deserting their teacher, as if they are so good to be part of somebody. That's exactly the consequences of practicing Buddhism with blind faith. And you will get more blind. You become more blind. You won't get the third eye open. The other two also blind. And we don't want anybody go to blind. We want to hopefully open people's eyes. So with this, we will conclude here, everyone. Thank you very much. Listening to me and maybe listening to your heart even more, how not to collect all the jump leads. And I'm not one of them. So thank you. Let's do the dedication of merits. Erenda Maya na Whatever Choedak Rinpoche Kareja Manju Shinyo Asama Draba Dradila Follow Ode Samba Aishadege Ode Mere Mede excellent body jeda Teba Vetanaya that has been born freely without generation. Thank you, everyone.